Welcome back, everybody, to the Insightful Podcast. And today we're joined by someone you might recognize that has been on the podcast before, Casey. Casey, how you doing?
I am doing so well. How are you?
Good, good. It's great to have you on. We said that we were going to have a part two in the future, and today we're making it happen. So
I'm
let's,
honored.
yeah, let's get into it. So since the last time we spoke, your Instagram has grown tremendously. So I just want to kind of ask you how you're feeling about the growth you've had in your social medias and the kind of effect you've had on people in the recent months.
Yeah, my that was definitely an unexpected turn for me because Instagram was more of like a personal use for a while, as like my TikTok was very separate. But just kind of grinding on Instagram, like it's the same exact grind and feeling as if I'm like putting the same time into my TikTok. So it's been pretty rewarding to know that I have enough effort to like put enough time into both and to figure out exactly like what my audience really likes. And it's been an amazing feedback. It's been such a great journey seeing like the types of people that you can reach and not just like um people like close to me, people around the world that you just never think that you could reach before. And just hearing the types of motivations that I put out that other people are receiving is just something that I am so blessed to be able to express, just not on one platform, but on multiple. And the insane growth has been amazing. I think it's just such a great thing to just at least put something like time into your day and time into what you do. So it's just been like a times two type of motivation every single day, and I'm just thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing because you have so much going on a day-to-day basis, and then if you're just able to post once a day,
Mhm.
you see the account grow, and even more than just the numbers and the followers, you're actually affecting people's lives. I assume you've probably got messages from people that say you're motivating them in some sort of way.
Yeah, I've definitely received a couple of those messages, and it's honestly like part of the reason to keep going because not only am I like just putting time into myself every day, but I'm also like motivating other people to do the same, and hopefully like they start their own pages and try to reach more people. And I think it's just a beautiful domino effect when you can inspire somebody else to start their own pages, and then they inspire other people to start their own pages. And I just think that it's a great way to connect with people. So it's been a pretty great time, I would say.
Awesome, awesome. So, was there throughout these couple months, obviously seeing the growth and seeing the effect you're having, you're probably extremely motivated. But was there any point of time where you maybe doubted yourself or you felt like you wanted to quit posting all entirely or not really, you've never had that feeling?
I think that it's kind of the same thing. Like if I were to put it in gym terms, there are bad weeks, there are bad months, and I think that a lot of people see the viral videos, and I think that's what people judge people based off of is what they usually see. But nobody sees the days where you get like half the amount of views, or you don't get any likes, or you feel like you have to like take away a post because it just didn't do as well. On Instagram, there's literally a graph that shows you where this post is based off of other posts, and you're like, oh, that is really bad. And I don't like that, because it's
Yeah.
almost like you're getting that instant gratification that when you put out the work, like it gets put out to your audience and you see like the likes and all of that. But it's people don't see the days that the likes are like half the amount or the views are half the amount because a lot of people, this is like their livelihood. They do this every single day. So when they put out the same amount of work as they did yesterday, but yesterday's work did so much better than today's work, they don't see that. People only see the viral videos, but it's all about staying creative and staying positive and know that like at one point you didn't have the audience that you have, and the more that you put out, the more time that you put into yourself, that is what truly matters. And yes, like there are good and bad days. Like I feel like I've been having some low view counts recently, but that doesn't stop me from still pushing out my content and still posting each day. And yes, it's very discouraging to see because just like everything else, it's kind of like when you hit a new PR, you're like, oh, I want to hit a PR tomorrow and the next day and the next day.
Yeah.
But just like gym terms, that's just not how it is. You have to always assimilate to new environments, assimilate to new splits, and assimilate to what your audience likes online. So it's just a whole. It's hard, It's really hard.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you kind of structure it in a sense that you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to post this amount of content or whatever, and whatever happens now, I don't care. Like, I know I posted something that I feel like my viewers might find value in or they might be inspired by, and whatever that number is, it doesn't affect you. Or like, obviously it's going to affect you, but that's not a motivator for you. It's more just about being consistent.
Yeah, it's definitely a mixture of both. Cause like definitely like in the instant I will feel pretty discouraged. I'll be like, oh, I really really thought that this would do well. I really put time into this. I really, I put my hours. I did the editing. I spent the time. I made the ideas, like everything that you do to make a video, and then it just doesn't do well. It is a very discouraging thing, especially when people are first starting out. I think that is one of the biggest hurdles that sets people apart from whether or not they're going to grow or not online, is that they want that like instant growth, and it's really really hard. It's not something that you could just do in a day or a week, and sometimes it does happen like that, but that's maybe one of the millions of people that try to put themselves out there every single day. And it's really tough. You really have to get through that mental battle. It's like when people say that they quit the gym after a week because they don't see results, and then they don't realize that the backhand reasons that they're not eating enough or they're not doing the right split. There's so many ways to like alter your everyday to like gain that audience. And you don't have to listen to anybody else because it is your audience and you know them better than anybody else. And if you're not doing that great, then there's so many other things that you could try. You just have to find it. But that all comes back to the consistency that you have to put into yourself, that you have to know that you're going to make it and that you're going to do it and that you believe in yourself, because that is the only constant in your life, is that you have yourself. And if you believe in yourself, all that's all you need. So
Exactly. So you kind of have that mindset when it comes to the gym, and then you've kind of allowed that kind of mindset to water in, I guess, in every area of your life, where you kind of see if there's something that's not going the way you want it, maybe you have to try something different, you know?
yeah, 100%. I think that, especially because I think a lot of people can, especially nowadays when, it's so easy to like see there's so many fitness influencers out there. And it's literally because the gym is such a beautiful place for self growth. I think it's one of the first places that people feel like they can find themselves, especially like at like early 20s, like late teenagers, like people going into their 30s, like our time when we're so young, like being able to move our bodies the way that we are, I think is such a beautiful thing, because we're not just doing a grace for ourselves now, but we're doing a grace for ourselves in the future. And it's like one of the first times that, school is hard, like work is hard, but the one thing that I think that a lot of people just feel like is such a constant, and like how people always say that the gym like fixes their mental health, is because it lights something in them, that it's like the first time they feel like truly passionate about something. And I think that they could take those ideals and assimilate it to everything else that they do in life. Like if your job isn't fulfilling you the way that it should, like you never know, like maybe you could switch it up and you could find something like the gym that like ignites that passion within you. Because I didn't expect myself to be so obsessed with going somewhere for 2 hours a day. I don't remember what I was doing in those 2 hours, like when I wasn't going to the gym. But for some reason it is just the 2 hours of like self improvement that just make me feel so alive every single day. And I've been able to assimilate it to almost every single aspect of my life, not just the dedication and discipline and things, but just like my major, how I am a planetary scientist, and a lot of my projects that I've been doing has been about like the well-being and like mental and physical health of astronauts, and how like they assimilate exercise and like proper nutrition up in space. And like combining those things have been so amazing, because it also has like reignited my passion for science as much as I love the gym. And you can really assimilate the ideals that you have within the gym to almost everything in your life. And I just think it's such a beautiful thing.
100%. So I think that's very important what you said, like kind of like finding that passion for your major again. Do you think there's a certain thing that you might need to look for when maybe something you're passionate about, that passion starts to fade and you need to kind of find it again? What does the process look like for you, at least, that kind of helped you find passion? And let's say maybe there was a time in the gym where you weren't as passionate as when you started or as right now. How do you kind of reignite that passion in anything in your life?
Um, I definitely think that it has to do with like your body knows when things are not consistent. They know when something needs to change. It's actually pretty interesting when like when you plateau in the gym and like you're not doing anything, and you're just not moving or anything like that, and your body feels like it's stagnated. It's actually your body's way of screaming, like, hey, you have to change something. You have to fix something. All of the things that are feeling discouraging and feeling that you just want to stay in bed and that you don't want to spend those like 2 hours every single day, like going to the gym, all of those feelings of not wanting to go is actually your body's way of saying something needs to change. Like, you need to fix something. I don't feel like I used to feel. And it's almost like growing pains. Like, you have to grow out of a new split. Like, you have to grow out of like an old, like, nutrition habit. You have to grow out of everyday habits that you shouldn't be doing. Like, I remember there was a time that I like plateaued just in mentality and in my life. And I just feel like I wasn't growing. And a lot of it had to do with like, the people I was around, like growing out of new people and growing out of just environments that don't support your growth. Because sometimes when you're in the wrong environment, they want you to stay in that stagnated space. Just how, like, if you're not growing out of like a split in the gym, like you're going to stay in the same weights forever because you're not moving.
Let's take a quick break to speak about the sponsor for the podcast. I am now working with a company called Attilius Apparel, and if you want Christian fitness wear that looks like this, or this, click the link in the description. Now let's get back into the podcast.
If you stay in the same environment that is in the same stagnated area of your life, you're not going to grow because they want you to stay in that position because they want you to not succeed. Even if it's like not directly telling you that, but it's your body's way of saying, "Hey, like you have to change. Like you have to change your environment. This is how it goes." It's just like how our body just naturally grows and how like our teeth come out because we're not like children anymore. Your body knows when you're growing and it does things to show you that. And I think that when you want to reignite your passion, there's just something in your life that you have to pinpoint that you have to change, whether it's your job or your friends or your gym or the nutrition or even starting something new. Like how recently I started boxing, and it's been such a great thing to just add into my routine throughout the week because it's just a new thing that I can work towards. There's always something that can change. You can add and subtract in your life that will always reignite your passion. And who knows, maybe it will reignite a new passion. So,
Yeah, no, I think that's very true because there's always periods of life, like I think in anyone's life, where you just don't have the passion for life as like, deep as that sounds. You just don't feel like excited to wake up, or you don't feel excited to do the things in your day. And it's like you're saying, I think that voice or that thing that's telling you I just don't feel passionate about anything, that is the voice telling you that there's something wrong, like you're saying, and that your goal, your mission is to kind of just find out what that thing is that's kind of
yeah.
holding you back. And I think that's one of the worst feelings in life is to like wake up and not feel passionate about like getting up, as like it's very sad.
It is very sad. And I think a lot of people struggle with that because when you talk to people on a daily day basis, it's not always the most positive things, especially like being in college. The first thing that people tell you is like, oh, I only got 2 hours of sleep. Oh, I have this test. I have this homework. It's never, maybe like 90% of the time, it's negative. And sometimes, like, when you get that 10% of someone being positive and saying, hey, no, like, I'm having a great day, it's almost refreshing to you that somebody is telling you that they're having like a great day, which like you said, is pretty sad. And I think it's because people definitely do take advantage and like to, well, at least take for granted like the little things that are supposed to make your day amazing. Because I think that the word amazing in terms of like, oh, I got 100 on a test, or it kind of leads to the extremes. It doesn't really lead to the little things that people should be focusing on throughout their day that are just genuine blessings that everyone alive just genuinely experiences just at least one blessing every single day. And focusing on that is so much more important than the extreme happiness, because if you focus on the extreme happiness, just like how we were talking about like going like viral and like all of that on social media, like if you focus on like the one day that you got like 100,000 views, then the day that you get like 10,000 views, you're not going to appreciate because at one point you were only getting like 1,000.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that it's like, just remind yourself that you have so many things to be grateful for, and it doesn't have to be these extreme things, because if you're just waiting for the extremes, you're not going to appreciate the little things in between. And then eventually, when that happens, you're just not going to appreciate anything because that just doesn't happen every day. But if you appreciate the little things that are just genuine blessings, like I think the world would be so much happier in general.
Yeah. So since you're in college and you kind of you say that you kind of deal with these types of people. How do you like personally not let it get to you, I guess? Because it's like you're saying, if
Mhm.
you're already having a bad day, or maybe sometimes you're just thinking in your mind, oh, I wish someone could be positive right now, because then that kind of uplifts you. And how do you not let those comments get to you or like ruin your day if you're hearing them constantly?
Yeah. I think that it's a really big recognizable fact that that's an internal battle that somebody else is facing. It's not you. And I think that that's one thing that is so important for everyone to realize is that you're never going to understand exactly what people are going through like in their heads. You never know if they're like malicious comments or because of them something happened to them like in the past, like today. You just never know. Like obviously you could talk to people, but you have your own perspective. And I think it is our jobs as every single human, as much as we can, to project as much positivity as we can, like to the world. You don't have to like obviously be happy every single day, but like being like gracious enough to know that like someone else could be struggling, you could be struggling, but at the same time like it's going to be okay. And everyone else has their own things going on. And if someone is taking that out on you, and I know it's really hard because I also like really struggle with it every single day to do that. But recognizing that like this is not your perspective, this is something else that somebody else is projecting, and you have every power to try and understand what you project every single day. So if someone else is projecting something that is causing you to drain, then be the one that recharges everybody else.
Hmm. I think that's the best way to do it, because that is the only thing you can like accountably like do to someone else, right? Is like if someone's being extremely negative, you could be positive, and that's really your only reaction to it, right? Because like last week, for example, last week I felt really negative on the weekend, right? Some things happened and I'm like, oh, I started to get negative. And in my mind, it's like the more I was negative, the more negative I got. And then it was just like an endless spiral for like 2 days.
Yeah,
And I'm like, afterwards, I realized I'm like, damn, I shouldn't have done that, because a
yeah,
lot of the bad thoughts I was having, or the doubts, it was literally just because I let that one negative thought like spiral, you know?
yeah, 100%. And it's also really easy to be negative. It's like
Yes.
almost like hard to be happy, which is like really annoying. It's
Yeah.
really easy to be negative. The second like I have a negative thought in the gym, I'm like, I'm gonna put on my playlist that's called Don't Play or You'll Cry. Like, why would I play that? Why would I ever create a playlist that says that? That's actually dumb. But it's so easy to be negative. That's why like when people do have those positive thoughts, that's why it's so uplifting, because it's almost harder to be that type of person, to be the one that recharges people's batteries, to be the one that's happy. But I think the point is that, the sadder that you get, there is 100% a contrast that you will experience like the biggest happiness. Like, because you know what it's like to be on a down low. So once you're happy, you'll appreciate it so much more because you know that there's a contrast and you've experienced it before.
Exactly. 100%. So my next question for you, it's kind of long, so I'm going to read it out. So in our previous episode, we spoke about growing as a person in mindset, emotional intelligence, and just like overall self-improvement. How do you measure like your growth in those areas? For example, like emotional intelligence, like you grow as a person when you start to be like self-reflective, but how do you kind of tell that you made progress in that kind of area of life? Because if it's money or business or the gym, if the scale goes up, if the money in your account goes up, you're making progress. But something like emotional intelligence, or your grit or your mindset, how do you kind of gauge that progress in your own life?
Um, to be honest, there's a couple different things, but I really do think that it has to do with who you surround yourself with. Because when you look at the space around you, it is so important to see that everyone is truly like someone that you can talk to and be yourself around. And not for any other reason, just us like a small group of people that accentuate you and don't deplete your battery. And I think that the way that I have been able to measure how I am and how I project is definitely around the people that I hold closest, because if they are also motivating people and they're also disciplined and like show up for themselves and like are not afraid to share their bad days because they know other people can have bad days. It's like the things that I stand for, I want to also see in the friends and family and like a significant other that I am with. I want to see that growth. I want to see that I'm also like feeding off of them. Like I can actively learn from them. I definitely think that that's why, people say like you're the product of your environment. It's very true. When you lose friends because they're, not aligning with your goals anymore, it's a pretty important precedent in your life to show that this is not how you want to be anymore, and this is who I want to be. And I think, obviously losing friendships is a very hard thing, but it could be a really great thing just for your emotional intelligence to recognize that like this is not who you want to be anymore, and they're aligning with goals that you used to have. And how, I recently had to separate myself from a specific person because I used to have pretty different ideas of relationships and how they were, you know, not great, and how they are can be full of cheaters and people that just aren't standing for love. And being around people that also think that is a very, claustrophobic state of mind, because it's like they also don't believe that love exists. And they also believe that it's just, it's easy to just meet someone and like, meet somebody else the next day and the next
Yeah.
day and like, go on a bunch of dates, and that's how you're going to find love. But stepping away from that whole like scene of people that just think that it's easy to just meet one person, and then if that doesn't work out, like meet another person next day, and like the whole cycle continues, and you just like lose the specialty of like learning about a specific person. Taking yourself like away from that space and like the claustrophobicness of like what other people think, and re-recognizing like if you believe in love, like I believe in love. It's like though that's those are the people that I want to be around. And taking myself out of that environment was definitely a very uplifting thing, because it reminded me of who I want to attract. And I don't want to attract a specific type of person. And I know that there's one person out there for me. And basically, the moral of the story is that people that align with goals that you used to have are very claustrophobic, and they it almost like makes you resent them more, because you're like, if I was able to get past that,
Mm.
like you can totally get past that. And like it definitely has to do with like me getting like closer to God, and knowing that taking myself away from a space that was claustrophobic and not very like graceful was a very, very uplifting thing. And the more time that you put into the things that you represent, I swear it's like it's the most exponential growth, and it really does start with the people that want to bring you down to a level that you're just not at anymore. And that's where you see where your intelligence lies, because if you're no longer in the same level as the people around you and you feel like you have to grow out of them, I think it is like a beautiful thing, because that just means that you're ready for people that are ready to accept this new version of you.
Yeah, 100%. So I think that's very important because, like, as you get onto self improvement, it's exactly what you said. Let's say, for example, you were out of shape when you first started going to the gym, right? And you see your friend complaining about how they don't like the way they look, but they take no action. And it's been going on for months. They talk about how they don't like the way they look, but they never go to the gym. It's exactly what you say, because you know within yourself that you were in that position at one point, but you made a change. And it does get frustrating when you constantly hear these people say these things and not make a change. So my question is, like, for you at least, when is it like enough? Like, when is it, I tried to help this person, they don't want to help themselves anymore, so I'm going to remove myself from this environment? Is it kind of something you're able to see, like they want to live like that, so I'm just going to leave it? Like, for example, you were saying about the relationships and how other people were viewing how a relationship should be. Did you try to like tell them in any way, like, oh, I don't think it's that way, and they just didn't listen to you, or they didn't want to like view it in a different way?
I think that when people are so consumed in how they look at things, and that they only can see their perspective and have no like assimilation or like trying to understand like that there are different perspectives, and that the maybe three people that you've like dated like does not account for like the millions of people out there, or like the maybe like 100 other people that you can like be possibly meeting in your life. It's like it's a very closed-minded perspective, and I think there are times when you have conversations with people where you realize that they're just not listening, and
Mm,
not because they're it's not that they're not listening, but they're not ready to accept advice yet because they have a lot of internal battles that they have not even tapped into yet. And I think it happens more often than not. I think there's a lot of people that just have so many past memories that they do not know how to grow past because they're too scared or they don't know how. And sometimes those people have to just fight their battles like by themselves because they're not accepting other people's advice and they're pushing people away because of it. And as much as, you can give someone advice on things and try to give them some optimism within their pessimism, it's the pessimism that's going to win. Just like how negativity is just so easy to go into. It's so easy to just say I'm never going to find love. I'm never going to find someone that's not going to cheat on me. I'm never going to do better in the gym. Because those things are easy to say because it's just kind of the easy way out of things. But it's hard to keep trying. It's hard to keep putting your real self out there. And it's hard to keep up with nutrition. It's hard to go to the gym. But to someone that is disciplined and emotionally intelligent and ready to stick up for themselves every single day, those things feel like a breeze. Being your real self should feel like a breeze. Going to the gym, having proper nutrition, and being around the right people, that that's real that's real medicine to any sort of depression, anxiety. I truly believe that it's like the most beautiful medicine to know that you could feel your body, work your body, and be around people that recharge it. And having those things is just better than any medicine can do because it's just what your body wants. And what your mind wants is to stay in the negative. But your body knows what's wrong. And having people fight those battles by themselves is a pretty harsh thing to say, but it's true and important for anybody's character to just accept what's happened in the past so they can be excited for the tomorrow.
100%. So if you don't mind me asking, like you say you kind of deal with these types of people in college, right?
Mhm.
Is there any part of you that you can't wait till college is over so you don't have to deal with those people? Is there any kind of feeling like that?
Um, I think it's like very 50-50.
Mm,
I think it definitely helps like being on social media because I really do align with a lot of people's goals on there who are just my age, just trying to put their messages out there. And I've met a couple people here at my school that also do social media and also like to push positivity and motivation and their content out there. So it's like nice to have like a little community of that. But I'm very 50-50 on not being able to choose what I want to do. And in college, like it's really your choice who you hang out with and who you spend your time with and who you put your energy into. So if you feel like you're depleted, like you never know, it could be the environment that you're in. Taking a step back, you have every single power to do. And I don't want to say I'm excited for it to be over because that would just mean I am not living in the present very well, and that
yeah.
there's something I could be doing right now to help me feel like I am in the right place right now. And I struggle with that. I don't wake up every single day and be like, I'm exactly where I want to be. I'm so happy exactly where I am. It's something I want to work towards, and there's days that I do feel like that and days that I don't. But that's what I work towards. And sorry, my apartment is really stuffy. But it's just important to recognize that you are exactly where you need to be. And if it's around people that are great, that they're great. If it's around the people that are not great, like you have every power to change your environment, and you have every power to look in yourself and see what is going on. And like it's really hard for people to stay still and do that, but I think it is really important to be able to be one with yourself and look inward and see where things are going wrong. Because as much as I love my friends here so much, I've been pretty emotional the past couple months, realizing that like it's gonna be over in a couple months. And yes, I am excited to move on and like see where I'm gonna go in the next couple months because genuinely I do not have any idea. I'm trying to look for jobs, but at the same time, I don't have anything solidified. So it's like, as much as I say I am excited, I'm also nervous. But at the same time, the best thing that I could do right now is recognize I'm exactly where I need to be. And I think that is so much more important than being like, are you excited to leave? Because that means you're not really happy in the present.
Yeah, exactly. Just because there might be like one aspect of it that you don't like doesn't mean that you want it to end completely,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
100%. So my next question is, this is something I've actually been struggling with, and I want to hear your perspective, is how do you balance like growth and like self-acceptance? Because, for example, um, I've been going to bed extremely late and it's been harder to wake up and go to the gym, right?
Mhm.
So when I do that, like the day will go by and I'll be like, damn, I didn't go to the gym in the morning like I was supposed to. And then I'll like, get mad at myself because of that. So how do you focus on like, I guess like focusing on self-improvement, trying to grow as an individual, but also like giving yourself grace and allowing yourself to have fun, because like even me, like recently I've been like, I don't deserve to have fun now because I need to work on this or I need to do this, right? So do you ever feel like that, and how do you kind of avoid that feeling?
Um, I think sometimes it is inevitable that your brain isn't going to constantly think that it's doing everything that you possibly can to be the best version of yourself. Um, I think, especially when people experience like overtraining and not taking rest days for a while, like, and not taking deloads and everything like that, people do experience like a genuine burnout. I've been experiencing that. Body dysmorphia has not been great recently, and I think it's because I have not been taking the rest that I should be. My body will let me know that. It will stay in bed. It will come back from class and take a nap. I hate naps. It makes me think I'm unproductive and like that I'm wasting hours of my day that I could easily be doing work with. Like you can tell I'm getting aggravated just by talking about naps.
Yeah.
Like that's so weird.
Yeah.
But it's true, like, the feeling of unproductivity from someone that is so motivated, like, that's also, like, an amazing quality. Like, people that, you know, feel that they are unmotivated and that because they're not going to the gym, like, that is, like, causing them that their whole day is ruined and that they're not a motivated person anymore when they go to the gym 365 like maybe like 363 days out of the year, like you go to the gym and then those 2 days that you are off, you're like, I'm not disciplined, I have no motivation, I suck. Like, no, it's so crazy how our minds work because some people are praying to be able to do that. They're praying to be able to get themselves in the gym every single day. But now we're like banking on ourselves for not going like 6 days, 5 days a week, 7 days a week. But our bodies know that we also need to rest. And, I promise you, I don't even take that own advice because I still, when I take a nap, like I feel unproductive. Like
Yeah.
when I have a rest day and I don't like hit my step goal, I feel unproductive. It's like still little things. In the days that we're supposed to be resting, we still have those stresses. And that's not how it's supposed to be. And our body knows. They'll tell us, they'll force us to stay in bed a couple extra hours and like miss our alarms. They'll force us to do that because they know. They know that maybe like we've been in so much of a consistency that there's something that needs to change and they'll force you to do that. They'll tell you that you're unproductive even though you can be productive and like change up your routine and be productive in other ways. And I know it's hard to take my own advice, but sleep and recovery is being productive. On my rest days when I stretch, like if I don't stretch, I feel unproductive, but still I'm just being productive by having a actual sleep schedule, by like eventually knowing I'll get back on my routine. I'm productive to work back up to that.
Yeah.
Like you're doing everything that you can. Your body knows exactly what it needs. And the things that it does every single day to be its best self does not have to be how it is for tomorrow. So in the moment, it's so easy to bang on yourself and tell yourself that you're not doing everything that you need. But it's okay because eventually you'll get back into it. You'll get back into a new routine. You'll start going to sleep earlier. You'll start, getting back on track with macros and calories and all that. There's so many things that people just have those little hurdles. And it's so, so easy to just completely destroy everything. You just say, you know what, I'm just really bad at this. I have no motivation and I'm having this bad week and it's just banking on everything that I've been doing for myself. But that's the point, is that it's everything that you've been doing for yourself. Like so what if like out of the month 1 week of your month is like awful, and then the rest is just like productivity, like doing everything that you can. You're going to crash out
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you need sleep and you need recovery, and your brain can't constantly be focused all the time. It's just natural. And every single person that you talk to experiences the exact same thing, because it's so easy to see on social media that everyone is like, "Oh, I'm so good with my macros and my and everything. I'm so good at the gym and I go every single day. Oh, I love my recovery days." You never know if maybe they that was a picture from yesterday. You never
Exactly.
know if these people just are posting things from a week ago. Maybe they are sick and they're trying to post because they're worried that their followers are going to be mad at them for being sick. There's so many things that you just don't know. But I know that every single person on this planet experiences hard days and hard weeks and hard months. So you should understand that you are going to experience hard days, hard weeks, and hard months.
Exactly. I think it's like a double-edged sword because you ask yourself, if I wasn't so like strict about what I do on a daily basis, would I be like where I am today? But then it's like you're saying it's also like there's a point where it could be too much, where like you're saying maybe you went to the gym 10 days in a row and then you were supposed to go the 11th day in a row, but you slept in and then you get pissed at yourself and you're like, holy, like you didn't just realize what you did? Like you just went to the gym 10 days in a row. Like that's already too much, right? So I think it's like a double-edged sword with like anything in your life.
Yeah, 100%. That's a really good analogy of it. It's like, okay, like you're not going to give yourself grace for the 10 days that you went, but the 11th day, like the less than 10% of that, like that's crazy. I don't know.
Exactly. So I seen, Casey, that you went to the Arnold, right?
Yeah. Oh my god. I
That
did.
that's sick. So I wanted to like ask you about your experience and like how was it?
Yeah. Oh my god, I love talking about this. So, I'm the events chair for the Purdue Bodybuilding Club, and we had the biggest group we've ever sent to the Arnold. It was 40 people, which is crazy. The
Wow.
fact that we were able to do it all at once was just such a blessing. Just having a community of people that love the same thing. It was just such a beautiful thing. Um, it was a, and then when you get there, it's like basically the same thing. You just walk around, and it's just people that love what you love. I genuinely had a pretty good experience. The only thing I would probably ask them to add is like more actual food and not just samples of pre-workout and protein powder,
I
because
can
that really
imagine how
sounds
many
so
like
bad,
how
bro.
much like caffeine you had that day.
I was cracked out. I didn't have like any water. I just had like EAAs and like I don't know. It was a lot. It definitely I was happy to only go for a day because it was so nice to be around like people that just have the same passion as you, and also all these like motivated vendors that are just, trying to sell you basically any supplement that you just take on a daily basis. And it's also nice to see that, the thing that I love is just there's so much of it out there. There's so much love and passion towards the fitness industry, and it's huge. It's so much ever like it's exponentially growing. I didn't go last year, but I heard that the Young LA booth was not like there last year, but the Young LA booth was like it was huge. It was like 1/3 of the whole convention center. And I'm sure like the people behind that, like they didn't know that they were going to be doing that this year. And it's also so important to meet creators that are just like you, like grinding it out and seeing that like they made it, like they're at these booths, like they're grinding, they're pushing their products. It's a very motivating event, and it's also pretty great. You get a lot of free samples and you get to try a lot of stuff. And I think everyone should go to some conventions that are in their passion, because it's just so like recharging to see that like your hyperfixations through the day is like other people's actual careers. And it's just nice to be around, and it was nice to go with my club and meet a lot of the creators that I get to see online that are just in person. It's crazy.
Yeah, 100%. I seen a video that I think went pretty viral, and it was someone like there was like no face in it, but he was just filming, and it's like it was showing like all the booths and stuff, and he's like, all these people are here just because they decided to pick up a camera, and it was like towards the influencers, and like when you have that kind of perspective, it's pretty crazy because most of the people there literally just do the same thing that they do on a daily basis. They just record it, right? Like we love going to the gym. I know people at the gym that love going to the gym as well. And it's like like these people just picked up a camera, shared their passion, and that could be anything in your life. And look at what they were able to do with it. So I can't imagine. I want to go to the Arnold one day. Like it looks super cool. Did you
Yeah,
see
it
any like
definitely.
prejudging from like any of the shows? Like any
Yeah, I
prejudging?
did see a lot of the shows. I saw a bikini, and I think part of a men's classic on Saturday. I believe that's what it was. I didn't get to watch a lot of it because there was a lot of people, and I'm kind of short, so it was like very.
Yeah.
But it was very. That was another thing that was just so motivating because not only are the people there, um, just people are like, oh, these are all influencers and all that. A lot of people like put their blood, sweat, and tears to be there, and you're meeting people that have hopped on stage and hopped on stuff and
Yeah.
also like gone on meal plans that are just insane just to be there and like show off like what they've created for themselves. And yes, you're right, these people, they just picked up a camera and decided to believe in themselves one day. They were like, hey, I have something that I would like to share with the world, and hopefully they will just smile back. And people have created audiences. And I even met some of my fans. I did not think that that was ever possible in my entire life. That sounds crazy to me. But I told myself a year ago today that like people would recognize me at a convention center in Ohio. I'd be like, what are you saying? That's crazy. But it's true. You have every single power to just wake up and believe in yourself and put yourself out there. And it doesn't have to be picking up a camera. It can literally just be making recipe videos, and you don't have to show your face. Things that you're passionate about, you could share with people. And there's so many people that have that same passion. And that's what the Arnold is. It's like a convention center of people with that same like-mindedness. Like no matter where you're from, like there's people from all over the place there. And companies from the supermarket that you see every single day just giving out free stuff, and even the bodybuilders that are just so insanely passionate in what they're doing. It is a great way to like look up to people that even if you haven't met, like being like, I want to be like that one day. Who knows, like maybe I'll be working the booth next year. Who knows, maybe I'll be on that stage next year. It's all about, you know, being like, are you going to start tomorrow or are you going to believe in yourself today? Because I think being there was just another motivating factor. Like I'm doing exactly what I want to do, and all these people share that same likelihood, and everyone's trying to make it, but it's all about believing in yourself because these people do too.
Yeah, 100%. Like that's why like I love bodybuilding so much because it's literally in my opinion the ultimate like form of sacrifice and discipline because they are literally like doing whatever it takes to like get to that position even if it hurts themselves, even if it's sacrificing time with people that they care about cuz they have to be so locked in. That's why like I know like going to something like that. Like I went to the Toronto Pro like 2
Mhm.
years ago and it was like my first experience like being around bodybuilders, and when I was there, I was like, holy, like this is actually insane. Like seeing it on like your phone on Instagram or whatever, but actually being there in person, it's like wow.
Mhm. It is a whole different world seeing it in person, and like it is definitely a blessing of a convention to like just see what you could be doing. And back to what they do put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. And it's like when you go to cut and you lose neurotransmitters and you lose like the ability sometimes to be happy. Like you lose it because you're not expressing like dopamine and chemicals in your brain that like you're excited to like eat and do the things that you're supposed to be doing for your body. It's literally the hardest thing because you're physically like telling yourself like not only are you putting all the stress and all of that in the gym, but you're also mentally knowing that you might be depressed and like severely extra anxious and nauseous during the day and depleted in nutrients that you need to survive, especially with women and like the lower body fat percentages. Like you lose things that are important for fertility and stuff like that. Like you mentally know that you're basically hurting your body just to look good on stage. And these people, they do it, but they're disciplined and they're motivated and they have goals. And yes, like it's hard, just like any other hard thing in life. But it was so motivating to see just so many people doing it, because I'm sure that they all experience that and they all share those same commonalities. And it was just such a motivating thing to see everybody on stage that day because all of them are just such wonderful people.
And I think like places like you're saying, like conventions and stuff is super important to be at with your passions because you don't feel so alone. You feel like because at home and maybe in your own area, you might be like, oh, there's no one else that likes what I like. But then you go to a place like this, and it's like you're saying, like all those bodybuilders on stage, they suffer in the same way. They know how it's like, and to be around that probably makes them feel good as well, right?
Yeah, 100%. Cuz like it's like last summer um when I switched gyms, that was one of the best things I could have done for myself because I love fitness so much, as everyone can tell, right? I love it so much. And one of the things that I also love in equally an amount is communicating with people. I love communicating and like sharing experiences, sharing perspective. It is just a great way to build on your own because, you know, your perspective is not the only one in the world. And talking to people and communicating with people is the best way to learn new perspectives. And I was going to Crunch Fitness like near my town back home in the beginning of the summer, and I just heard of this gym that was maybe a couple blocks over that was just full of people that like are influencers and like spend a lot of time on social media trying to make it, but also like lifting, and the whole gym is black and it's, you know, very mysterious, but it's very cool. And my friend just recommended it to me, and I spent basically I just had a day pass. I walked in and I paid for a day pass, and I started meeting random people that would come up to me and ask me my perspective instead of me just going into the gym like doing my thing and leaving. I met so many people that just aligned with my goals that I've never met before. And these convention centers and like changing gyms, it's all about changing your environment because, you know, you could be stuck in your university gym and just not know that these things exist. You could be so passionate about fitness and like, you know, trying to make your content put out there, but like only be the only one in the room who's doing that. And, you know, as much as that is motivating because you know that you're the only one to do it, it's also motivating to see other people that are making it with the same goals as you. And that's why
Exactly.
switching gyms, whatever, switching gyms, which is such a great thing for me because not only was I unknowingly lacking in the communication with people that have those same goals, but I had other people to look up to that I want to keep going, like they've done it, they've made it, and like my goals aren't just dreams. They're not things that I just dream about. They're things that I can make a reality because these people also made a reality. And not only did they make a reality out of it, you know, they just started to believe in themselves for their own reasons, and I'm a totally different person with a totally different perspective. So I know that I'm unique. I know that I'm special. They were unique and special because they're their own person. So why not make it a reality?
Yeah, it all goes back to environment, and I like how you always like stress that point because even for myself, like I tried like entrepreneurship for like a year, and the only time I started to see results was when I got a mentor where I got someone that started a business from nothing and made something out of it and like has a good life because of it. And it's like the second I like attached myself to that person, I started to see results. So it's like people don't actually understand the importance of like your environment and why it matters so much because like they've never experienced something like you have experienced or I have experienced where you change your environment and immediately other things start to change in your life.
It's very much it is a blessing to have someone with the same aligned goals as you because when you talk to them about it, it's like a recharge.
Yes.
It's a reminder that you're doing the right thing. It's not like I'm talking to someone about social media and they're like, "Oh my god, like that's great." It's what can we do better? Like how are we bettering ourselves every single day? What are you doing to better yourself? How are like what is your next goal? How are you setting up your day? How are you setting up a routine? Because they know the grind and they know you and they've been you before so they can help you and they can give you advice, and if you don't take it then it's like okay. It's like that's the whole thing about having those like-minded people because they can help you with those next steps when you're stuck. And not only is like when going back to people that can't really take advice from others because they're so closed-minded in their perspective, that's why you know that you're not in the right space because you feel like you can't accept help or advice from the people that you're talking to, almost like you don't trust their advice,
Yeah.
almost like you can't really align with their advice. But when you have those like minded people, it's like that wall goes away. That when you talk to somebody, you're willing to listen and you're willing to be like, you're right. And it's almost like when someone tells you to work hard that doesn't work hard, you're not going to
Yes,
listen to them. But then if
exactly.
someone works their ass off every single day and they tell you to work hard, done, you're right. I will work hard. And sometimes they don't even have to say it. They could just be themselves and it just assimilates to you. And that's why environment is so important. Because I'm not going to listen to someone who's lazy that's telling me to work hard, but I'm going to listen to the person that definitely made it or is trying to make it and is doing stuff for themselves every single day to do it because that's what I want to do. And it almost makes you feel like you're not alone in a very, very tumultuous process of just finding yourself.
Exactly, 100%. So I got two questions left, Casey, and this one
Mhm.
is, what is like one trait about yourself that you have like developed over the years or the months, whatever, that you are most proud of?
Hmm. I definitely. Oh my god. um, I think that looking back, I think this is good because I've been trying to look back on like my freshman year self and be like, that's a different person. Um, I really like having the quality of like strength, not just physically, but 100% mentally. Um, I think a lot of my strength comes from the strong people in my life that I've met over the years that have helped me recognize it, that it's like within me, that I've always had it. You just have to find it. A lot of people, I think, when they say that they've changed, it's almost like they're finding things within themselves that's always been there but haven't been able to find. But then some people come along and they very much accentuate it out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my strength, obviously, in the gym is something I'm very proud of. Coming from somebody that I used to be that was very small and not properly eating correctly, it's really hard to regain the strength to get back to a healthy version of yourself when everything else is so negative. And the strength endured to build back up and eat 4 meals a day when I was only eating one, it's like that took strength. And I thoroughly 100% like am able to recognize that about me, and I think you can recognize to anybody who's building anything within themselves is the strength that it takes to reinforce your walls but recognize when it's okay to also break them down. And strength mentally, not recognizing that there's a difference between being a good person and trying to be a good person. um Trying to be there for people when they don't deserve it is something that has, I think, a lot of people experience, is when people that are very empathic and people want to help other people go through things when they're actively draining their energy is something that also takes strength, because you can't help everyone. I think that people that are struggling with being a good person and like reaching out to people and all of that, not every single person is at that point of their life where they can accept that grace from you. But maybe that needs to be put into something else. And the strength to be able to recognize that your energy needs to be put into the right people takes a lot of strength, especially for people that are empathic. And I think a lot of my strength also came from my strengthening with my relationship with God, because in the beginning of college, I very much was not a big prayer person. If I told myself freshman year that I'd be praying every single day, they'd be like, "What?" I don't do that. But it's like how I used to go to synagogue with my parents and like back when I was in middle school and high school, I would just reignited that strength with him that I never had until, these past 2 years where I was able to regain strength from him and the fact that he's always been with me and that all of the strength has been within somewhere. Just finding it through the right sources, through the right friends, through the right passions, and through God. It's been a beautiful, just combination of strength.
Yeah, 100%. I think like it's like you're saying, I feel like everything exists within us. It's just our mission to like find it, right?
Yeah, 100%. Because the people closest to you know, especially like, I'm like literally gonna cry. Because I've been noticing, especially with people that have known me for my whole life, and especially with my mom, they could see patterns within you that you think that don't really exist. Like how my mom always like, you always were disciplined. Like you would always make sure your homework was finished when like you were in elementary school. Like you always were very introspective because you always loved to write. And those were things when I was a kid. Things that I just like I thought I was not a conscious human being for. But it's so nice to recognize those patterns, and that's why like looking inward to yourself and recognizing that everything has always been set up for you to be the person that you are today. It's so true. Those patterns, like the things in your past that like you think is trauma but has really turned yourself into a very strong person. It's like that ebb and flow and that contrast. Your biggest weaknesses are genuinely can be turned into your biggest strengths. It's the same reason like the patterns in your life have definitely worked your way up into the person that you are. And I think it is just such a beautiful thing to recognize those patterns and recognize that like everything that you've experienced and like all of your personality traits and the things that make you you have just been patterns throughout your whole life.
Amazing. Amazing. So, Casey, my last question is not really a question. It's just, do you have like any final thoughts or anything you want to say before I kind of close out?
um to like the audience or you?
Yeah, to the audience, I should have clarified.
um I think just like you're very blessed today and you're very blessed tomorrow. And I hope that every single day you have a recognition of that. Even in the smallest amounts and the biggest amounts, there's always something to be grateful for. And I love you.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, to everyone listening, thank you, Casey, for doing this part two. It was we said it from the beginning and we made it happen, so I'm happy. And I think you shared a lot of valuable tips of things you've experienced that maybe someone listening to it right now might have experienced and they can take something from it. So thank you for taking the time out of your day to do this.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
Anytime.
And to everyone listening, thank you for making it this far. If you enjoyed the podcast, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Crush a coal to a diamond, eyes forever shining. Your beauty alone inspire a nigga to rhyming.